looking forward to being used by God in whatever church or location or however he wants to use me. You know, I just want to be a great pastor that pours his life out into his congregation. And so when the opportunity came for me to launch a church, I said, I'm gonna go right in the heart of where the darkness is, and right there is where I want to plant and start a ministry. The other thing that we notice is that Jesus, in this story, went to find the biggest sinner in that town.
If we're engaged in activities that are about worshiping God, then we are actually fulfilling our purpose. Dimas brings that kind of passion to the Right to Worship movement.
In the Right to Worship movement, and listen, we need your help. This fight is not over. If we lose ground here in New York City, this is going to spread throughout our country.
As a speaker and pastor, I'll tell you, he's anointed, he's passionate, and when he speaks, people listen.
He has demonstrated a sacrificial spirit. He put himself on the line several times for the sake of others.
In America, this place would be roped off with police guards, and nobody would be allowed here.
Dimas Salaberrios was born in Cambria Heights, a Queens area that produced Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Russell Simmons. He grew up in a beautiful home that he shared with his brother Chad and sisters Dawn and Emerald. Dimas' parents were separated. His dad, Dimas Sr., was in the Air Force and captain of correction. His mom, Dolly Cook, was a public school principal. His father always told him that he was the best.
So this is it? This is the home that you grew up in?
Yeah, man, it was a beautiful home. I enjoyed. We're in Cambria Heights, Queens, and this block was just known as the beautiful block in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, one of those places where, you know, you just would take refuge. You know, you always felt loved. You know, this block was just so many people, just great families, and just was really a place that we enjoyed calling home.
Dimas is one of the most intense persons I think I've ever encountered. When he is sold on something, when God has laid something upon his heart, he quickly draws others into that mission. He's such a compassionate person.
I believe it's Muhammad Ali who has been credited with saying that service to others is the rent we pay for our time here on earth. And I think that sums up Dimas as a person. He has a really strong belief in the human condition and concern for the human condition. So Dimas as a person is really about his humanity and how he feels about people.
He is there with you for you. You know, the Bible talks about a friend is born for a time of adversity. And he is definitely one that has come alongside and has emerged as a true friend. In the adversity, you see who your friends are. Dimas is a friend.
It's part of the excitement that he has. He can bring people in with that excitement, but then he has a vision, and he brings the people together for that vision, and through that, great things have been accomplished, and people are willing to follow him because they know that he cares for them, and he takes the time to get to know you and spend time with you and ask you questions and pray for you. But then he's also good, like with a group, pushing them towards something.
You know, when I'm a pastor of the Bronx River Housing Projects, and I remember when I went to that community, one of my questions that I used to ask people when I was, you know, just walking around, connecting with people and meeting them, I would say, you know, who's running the gangs in this area? Who's the largest drug dealer in this area? Who runs things in this area? And then often they would say, oh, it's so-and-so, or it's this gentleman. And I would go and I would find that person. I would walk, I would shake their hand, and I would say, how you doing? And they would say, who are you? I would say, I'm your pastor, because God has called me to pastor this area.
As a pastor, the Bible tells us that the Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And while we're not suggesting that Dimas is going to surrender his life, it is about self-sacrifice, which is what Dimas really is as a pastor. He surrenders himself and gives of himself for the people that he shepherds in his flock.
As a pastor, he's very compassionate. I've watched him interacting with the members of his congregation, and it's quite obvious that he's a shepherd that loves his flock.
Someone once said that preaching is truth through personality, and Dimas brings the gospel truth home through who he is.
As a speaker, Dimas is awesome-amazing. I have to make up a word for Dimas. He has the ability to just grasp hold of the hearts of his audience and just pour Christ into them.
He'll be up here and he'll be talking very seriously, bringing forth God's truth. And then he'll start laughing, and he'll bring up instances that have happened in the church, and we'll all laugh together. Or he'll tell stories that are just really funny. So he has a way of presenting the truth. He doesn't ever shy away from the truth that the gospel has.
Dimas is a prophetic speaker, and by that I mean he's direct. By that I mean, of course, he's biblical. And Dimas pulls together, I think, ways of preaching that he's learned from different cultures, brings them together, and it certainly makes it his own.
The thing about Dimas is if you talk to most people and you ask them about leaders, they'll tell you that they're people who do these kinds of things for people. They're always serving people. But Dimas, I think, is a different embodiment of what a leader is. He's actually a servant who is sometimes given an opportunity to lead, which I think is exactly the model that Jesus set for us.
As a leader, I'll tell you, he leads by example. He is someone that you can follow. And as a leader, he's also a servant. So, wonderful example of what leadership, true leadership is.
So he's a man of vision, he's a servant leader, he knows how to get the right people on the bus in order to reach the goal. In all these ways, Dimas shows himself to be a real Christian leader.
When we planted this church about 6 years ago, the first week, there was a homicide in the projects. So I mobilized the men in that community and said, we're gonna start prayer walk in this area at 5:30 a.m. every Thursday until homicides decreased. That prayer meeting is still going on, and there hasn't been a homicide there for 6 years.
He believes that everyone has a right to worship, but in short, everyone has a right to live out their purpose for God. And that's what he promotes in his right to worship effort, which I fully support.
I pastor a church in the schools, and I'm one of those specifically affected. But Dimas has come alongside, along with Bill Devlin and some of the other guys, and they have stood with us. And I'm so grateful for them, for their sacrifice and their effort.
It showed me that it wasn't just about proving a point or being noticed for some political move. It was really about the heart of it and what God would do and standing up for the truth that God has.
You can't see Dimas and not see his family wherever he goes. Tiffany, Dallas, Skylar, they are the joy of his life. And everywhere, not just everywhere that he goes, that he takes them, but even if they're not physically there with them, it's the topic of his conversations.
I love Dimas's kids. I've babysat for them. I have hung out with them as a family. We've gone swimming at their beach together, and he is a family man. His family always has come first, and I know that there are times where he'll kick people out of his house, and he's like, no, this is a family day for us.
I see him looking at his family as a very small church that he is pastoring. He's pastoring with compassion, and yet he's giving them direction. In all these ways, Dimas is a priest to his own family. He's a prophet, a priest, and a king.
I love my wife Tiffany, my 3 girls, Shirley Ann that's in college, down at A&T, my daughter Dallas who's 4, who's just so exciting and just great to see her. And we're so excited to see baby Skylar, who's 1, to see what she's going to do with her life. The family's a package. So you're a part of me, my family's right there with me, and that's how we roll.